Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 71 of the Growth Podcast. I hope you're all doing well, and that if you ignore Arsenal stuff for a bit, that you're enjoying yourself and whatever's going on in your lives this weekend. Today we've got a special episode, something bit different to the norm, and we've got joining me today a special guest from another pod, a pod that I enjoy listening to. I'm not sure if we're in competition with each other, but we're sort of very akin, very similar and alike, and who knows, but have a bit of fun with them online, bit of trolling, bit of banter. Apologies for using that word. But yeah, and to be honest, we've been just talking for the last hour, so I'm absolutely exhausted from that chat, and I think we've already done the pod already twice over. But anyway, look, welcome. Helping me host the pod today is Holly from the North Bank Pod. Holly, how are you? How's your weekend going so far?
When does the football start?
What football? No, if you want to talk about American football, I'm more than happy to talk about that if you want.
Or we can talk about United and Spurs currently losing. How about that? I can get on board with that as opposed to looking back at yesterday's frustration. But hey ho.
It is what it is. Unfortunately, I don't think our listeners would appreciate it too much. We just did a running commentary of Spurs losing 3-0 to Everton and Man United losing 2-1 to Brighton. So
come on,
let's go. Anything to keep our minds off yesterday. So look, anyway, thank you for joining me today, Holly. I really appreciate it. Before we get into the weeds, and I think we might be doing this delaying talking about yesterday as long as possible. Just hey, give our listeners a bit of a intro in terms of who the North Bank Pod are, who you are, how you've been, what got you going, etc., just so they know who you are.
Sure. Well, okay, so it's three of us, myself and Chris and Steph. It was actually myself and Steph found our season tickets next to each other or close to each other in the North Bank about 7-8 years ago now. I can't remember exactly. And we just got chatting, and he's an English teacher, I'm an English teacher. So we carried on chatting. That's what English teachers do. And then about a couple of years ago, I thought, you know what? I love talking. I love Arsenal. I'm going to combine these two loves and let's do a podcast. So after a bit of gentle persuasion, I got Steph on board, and we put out some real high quality, in inverted commas, content on YouTube. And thankfully, to save us from ourselves, we met Chris, who is a podcast professional and an Arsenal season ticket holder. So that all works quite well. And so I'd say about a year and a half now, we've been putting out podcasts on all the platforms, the North Bank Pod, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. We've got a website as well. And look, it's just three mates having a chat about the football, trying not to get too aerated, upset or whatever, which is becoming increasingly difficult again. But when you've been around as long as we have, we know we're actually on to a good thing still. So it's all good.
Good, cracking to hear, because we need more Arsenal podcasts, as we said when we started ours, because there aren't enough out there. But no,
it's true.
It's good. It's good bit of fun. We all have our audience and so on. So look, it's nice to hear that background. And we've been going since about almost a year now, so we're not too far behind you. So good. Thank you for that. Look, so in this show, in part one, we're going to go over yet another frustrating result following the 2-2 game with Villa. And then we will take a very quick look, and I mean quick look, at the Champions League game versus Zagreb, because my knowledge of the Croatian league is really not up to scratch. So there we go. So we'll have a look at that. So we're following our format today. So as we always do, as we start off, Holly, what was your highlight and what was your low light from yesterday's game?
Can I start with the low light, because it came first? You can start with
whatever you want.
Okay, my low light was the team selection, but one in particular, Partey at right back. I was screaming like an angry man shouts at cloud. And I'm sure we'll touch on this later, but my low, not to go into too much detail now, then if we touch on that later, but Partey at right back was my low point. I thought, it's never worked. Why are we doing it? And I was already preparing myself for the worst. That's my low light. My high point was Havertz scoring, because like an idiot, it's like I've never watched Arsenal or football before. I started to relax at 2-0 and Havertz scoring, and I was thinking, come on, the Waka Waka song, brilliant. This is really building on the Spurs result, momentum. All right, Liverpool scored a couple of late goals to kind of burst a little bit of optimism, but no, we're doing what we need to do. So that was my high point, which didn't last long.
No, it didn't, and I agree. And you're right. We will touch on Partey very, very soon. So, in terms of, I'll start with my low light as well. It was like the last 5 minutes of the game. I felt we needed to just be a bit more direct in the final third. There was a few times down the right channel with either Partey or Sterling. We could have just whipped in a cross, and not a high cross. We'd been getting success with low crosses into, like, they call that corridor of uncertainty. There were plenty of chances to do that, and we sort of dilly-dallied, and in the end, nothing came of it. And that was just very frustrating because you saw the success we got with how Trossard attacked the left-hand side and a great couple of crosses and a great couple of goals. So just that, come on. There's a time to dilly-dally and a time not to, and it just felt, it just summed up that right-hand side with Sterling and Partey that were there, and it was a shame. In terms of my highlight, it was a bit more holistic. I think the fact that for me, we were able to get a decent tune from this team, from this squad, given the circumstances, given everything that's going on around us at the moment. The fact that, okay, we're not getting the results, but we are the dominant team. We are the better teams. We are creating chances. We're just getting done by moments, and it's those moments that are letting it down. And I think this was something Steph alluded to in your last pod, or the Man United pod, is holistically we're doing really well, and in games and all the rest of it, it's just moments are costing us. And we've said it in the past, maximum return for the opposition for minimal investment, so, but the fact that we are still there, still competing. You look at the likes of what Spurs are doing, losing 3-0 at home to 3-0 away to Everton. Look what Man United are doing. Look what City are doing, and they're all having their issues in terms of injuries or whatever, and look how they've collapsed, and we haven't. And so I'm really pleased that look, we aren't where we want to be. It's not going as we want it, and I fully get that. But you should appreciate at least what's been done with this team, given they're all running on fumes.
Did you see what Football 365 put out before the Spurs game? It's what we talked about last week. That this is before the Spurs game. If you compared after 20 games last season, we've scored more goals this season. We've conceded fewer goals this season, and we're on the same points as last season. Which, I mean, I couldn't wrap my head around that, because on our podcast we talk about the eye test. It doesn't look like we're a better team, but the statistics would suggest that we are, and we're chasing down Liverpool, not Man City. This is title over if it was Man City, but it's Liverpool, so it's that little bit of hopium. But that just heightens the frustration.
No, I understand, and I've got a point on that later, and we can delve into that deeper. But you're right. I think, just to touch on it now, it's a bit of a more of a feeling. You're right. It's the eye test, and it's a bit like watching the game, and someone goes, "I like a bit of XG," and so look, the XG's this, yeah, but the one stat that matters is this, and stuff like that. So I think with that, it's yes, we are statistically very similar, and in fact, against Villa, I think we're 4 points better off than last year. Funny enough, and you take that every year. It's just, we just know. We're under strength. We've got injuries up to our eyeballs, and it's just not the same. So it's more projection that's causing the angst and the frustrations rather than the actual type stuff. Because, and again, games like yesterday, it's they are going to happen because of where we are, and it's not about making excuses. It's just understanding it now. Yes, we can do things better. Yes, we can do things differently, etc. But I'm also happy to mitigate as well, and the truth lies somewhere in between. But I've got a question for you on that later. So look, let's look at the lineup. So I think it was as expected. As soon as we sort of knew about Saliba, and those rumours about Saliba had been going for about 24, 48 hours. So I think we all feared the worst. So Partey, Timber, Gabriel, MLS at the back, and then Rice, Odegaard, Merino, and then Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard, which again I think everyone was happy about, because Sterling he's not a 60-minute player, he's barely a 20-minute player at the moment. So look, let's pick up on the big topic. Partey at right back. Why for you is that such an issue?
or the evidence suggests, kind of supports is it one win in 6 attempts this season. But he tried Partey at right back at the start of last season for the first few games. I don't know whether he was repurposing him as a right back. I think there were around the time when Gabriel was courting maybe a move away and he wasn't in the starting 11 and he was looking for maybe internal solutions to that. But for me, you want to play as many round pegs in round holes as possible. So playing Partey at right back removes your probably most effective midfielder this season from midfield. It removes your most effective right back from right back, and it plays that right back as a centre back. So we've got 3 issues. Now, not even defensively, and I would be the first to say that Partey defensively this season, before yesterday, has been okay. But it's in an attacking sense. It's down that right-hand side where we're so effective, and Partey is not a marauding fullback. He doesn't have the same relationship. I know Saka's not there at the moment, but even though he doesn't offer the same threat going forward as somebody like Timber does. So for me, it's you play your centre-back in centre-back. You play Kivior at centre-back. He's a centre-back. Fine, he's a left-sided centre-back, but surely he's got enough nous to play on the right-hand side of the centre-back pairing alongside Gabriel and inside Timber. Pretty secure. And then you've got Partey in midfield and you've got Timber at right-back. For me, it's just, I do not understand. Look, I'm very, very far from an Arteta out. I look, the fact I've even said that makes me feel uncomfortable. But there is a frustration with him. And at the start of last season, it was rotation. The start of this season, it was rotation. I have been quite vocal in I lay the blame for Saka's injury very firmly at Arteta's doorstep for overplaying him and overplaying him. He had a couple of little mini hammies earlier in the season, and then the big one go. But he just keeps playing him unnecessarily on occasion. But this is the other stick that we've got to beat Arteta with. Is the only other stick for me, because I think he's been amazing for the club, is this insistence on playing Partey at right back. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. I don't understand it. I don't know what he sees. What do you think?
No, I agree. I even mentioned it two pods ago. We've conceded in every game that he's played. Now, again, I think he's a perfectly functional fourth. Now, he's our 4th choice right back. So if you say he's your 4th choice right back, any club would bite your hand off of having Thomas Partey as your 4th choice right back, because we haven't got Tomiyasu who would play ahead of him. We haven't got Ben White who would play ahead of him. We haven't got Timber. So we've got to caveat that he's playing out of position and he's a 4th choice right back. That's fine for 1 or 2 games. I think, and this is the thing that bugs me. If we can see the statistics, what the fuck is Arteta looking at? Excuse my French, and I forgot to say, Holly, fire away with your Irish. You can swear like the rest of them. We're not proud on it. We're not precious on this pod. But yeah, you're right. We played 6, 1-1, which was against the Saints. We lost once against Newcastle, and we drew 4 against Liverpool, Villa, Fulham, Brighton, conceding in all games. Without him at right back, we've won 11, drawn 4, lost 1. So the statistics are there, and it is that knock-on effect. So, yeah, for me, it was the one thing I said, I hope we don't play. We've got to try something different. You've got to try something different. And again, up until yesterday, he's been perfectly functional. But the metrics, the statistics, something there is telling me something's not right. But on the point that you're making, so I'm not going to reiterate everything else, what does it say about Kivior that he doesn't trust him at right centre back? Yeah. He was part of that great run that we did at the beginning of the
at
year.
Left back, out of position.
Out of position. So why? Surely he's going to be better at right centre back. He can be so wedded to some principles sometimes, and that So Kivior, if you're Kivior's agent out of there in the summer, go because if you cannot play in your adjacent position. Yeah. But then when are you ever going to play? So
I just say that I saw some people put forward the possibility of playing Rice at centre-back. And even that I'd be on board with, because Partey and Tim are still in their positions, and Rice has played at centre-back before quite a few times. I'd even do that. Or even, and this is all things I would do instead of or before Partey at right-back, play Lewis Skelly at right-back and play Zinchenko at left-back. You know,
Yeah, and
like
that's
play
a
your
bold
fullbacks
statement.
play your fullbacks in their position. Like
Yeah.
I'd even do that before Partey at right back because
Yeah.
we've seen it happen so many times and not work so many times. You know,
Yeah.
I'd understand it if it was never happened. He'd never done it before and he's just trying it for the first time, but no.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a bit like when Xhaka had to go play left back. You're disrupting.
Yes.
No, he can be a serviceable left back, but you're
Yeah.
disrupting other parts of the team and other
Yeah.
parts of the play and losing stuff. So you're right. And by the way, Brighton are now 3-1 up against
Yes,
Man
I
United.
know. It's lovely.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you like to see it. You got to take the joy wherever you can.
Listen, absolutely. You know, in a very joyless Arsenal weekend, I'm here for United and Spurs losing. Please, thank you very much.
When you've got these relegation battle teams, you know what do you expect? What do you expect? So, and so look, now the big worry is Saliba. Is this going to happen again? Are we going to get to Zagreb and Partey's at right back? He might need a break, you know, and it's really ironic. I think that his fitness is now our issue, because if he was unfit like most seasons, we wouldn't have this problem. But now he's fit, he can play wherever Arteta wants. So maybe we wish he was a bit more unfit. But as for Saliba, Arteta said, yeah, for sure, I'm worried, especially with the numbers we have in the squad and looking at our bench, very worried. Now, I don't know if he's very worried about how bad it is or very worried about how long but it's I'll use the word again. It's worrying, and actually, I would have used this week to rest a couple. I think we'll touch on Zagreb. Zagreb's, I think, an opportunity to maybe give a chance to players to rest, and I think he would have been one of the ones that would have given the rest, because he's played the most amount of minutes for an outfield player. That's what I think, 2,625 minutes this season, which is about 3,000 less than Kai. That's 3.5 games. He's played 3.5 games more than anyone else in the team, other than Raya, who's top, but he stands around most of the time. Yeah, he's very, very different. And the impact of Saliba as well, since the start of 2022-23, we've only conceded 0.8 goals per Premier League game when Saliba's in the team. That's across 85 matches. It's over double that when he doesn't play in 13 matches. So I think it's the partnership, I'd suggest. He's a big part of that, but the partnership with Gabriel, they're both linchpins. It's fire and ice, or smooth and aggro, or whatever you want to call it. Them together, one of the best centre back pairings in the world, let alone the Premiership. I'd suggest. So it's a big worry going forward. And you're right. Yesterday, because Partey, I think, was at fault for one, if not two goals, partially. But we've got to find a better solution, I feel. However, we know when Arteta's got something in his mind, he doesn't tend to flex.
His team selection for Zagreb will be interesting, and we've got Wolves away on Saturday, and then it's Man City. So
it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier.
But you cannot take a chance with Saliba. Even if he's because initially it was precautionary, but then Arteta's concerted words where he did say very worried. That does make me very worried. He's right. I mean, if you're being open with very worried, because normally they only tell us the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. His legs actually have been amputated. We've got a slight concern. He might not be available for the next game. We have a defender. We had a central defender called Maldini on the bench. I don't know why he's not playing.
God. I'd play 60-year-old Maldini.
Because I noticed that is it Kokori? I think his name is.
He came on as, I think, in the Bolton Wanderers.
He started, didn't he? He started one of the games. I
think he came on as a sub. I don't think he started, but he definitely. I remember him coming on for one of the games. I don't think he's actually started, but he's been on the bench for a while. But in one of the Milk Cup games, he was a player. But our bench yesterday, it didn't recognise half of them, if not more.
Although, I did watch earlier in the day. I did watch. Everton have just. Well, it might be VAR might get involved yet, but Everton have just gone 3-1 up.
Oh, 3-1 up.
Does that mean Spurs have scored? Oh, Spurs have scored. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, sorry. I washed my mouth out.
I'll tell you in a second because I've got it on the phone here. So anyway, your point about watching something earlier in the day.
Yeah, so I watched the Bournemouth game at Newcastle, and on their bench they had two goalkeepers and 6 teenagers. and they absolutely terrorised Newcastle. I mean, if you want a bit of hopium ahead of the second leg up at Newcastle, just do what Bournemouth did.
Would you mean sign Semenyo, sign Kluivert,
I'd
sign Matara and get them up
Semenyo,
front?
Yes. I'd give a big yes to that. Look, it's just that the players missing, injuries and so on. Yeah. Bournemouth can still bring out, put forward a really fantastic performance and result. Just a shame we couldn't. Yeah,
no, indeed. So the game as a whole, how did you feel coming out? You weren't there unfortunately yesterday, but how did you feel? Having watched the game, your general thoughts on how we played and just your general perception of the game.
Well, it's difficult because I actually thought our performance was a lot better. I thought it was decent. I thought we were dominant. I thought we were in control of the game. I said to you earlier that I relaxed when Havertz scored. I mean, I will know, why I don't ever learn this lesson. But I relaxed. I thought 2-0. I thought that's it. This is we can now see this game out. 2-0. Villa had offered a few kind of Gary Neville in commentary called them nearly moments, where, a bit of miscontrol or a good interception, but there was a little bit of space, but that hadn't happened in the second half, really. I thought it was pretty controlled. And then 2 incredibly soft goals. And it's like, well, who do I blame? You cannot defend like that. Partey should have got out to Digne so much quicker than he did, but he's not a right back. I point this back to Arteta. Marino, who was signed in the summer because of his duel-winning ability, let his man go and get in front of him, Tielemans, and we're 2-1. And that was the important goal. That all of a sudden changed. They then hit the post, Tielemans again, and then Partey just went to sleep and let Ollie Watkins drift in behind him and have a free shot on goal from 6 yards. But then we were the most likely scorer from that point on, I felt. And that hasn't always been the case this season. I had hoped that we would score a goal. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Even Villa bring on Duran and Marlon and so on, and we bring on Raheem Sterling. Liverpool bring on Darwin Núñez and whoever wasn't Gakpo, whoever didn't start. And we bring on Raheem Sterling, and he was ponderous. He's just, it's quite sad to see that he's just a pale shadow of his former glory. But he is what he is there. So me and Chris were having this argument. I felt we deserved to win the game. And Chris said, no, we didn't deserve to win the game because Villa took their chances. And but I'm torn. I still think, listen, 4 points, as you said yourself, we got 0 points from Villa last season. We got 4 points from Villa. That's not a bad haul each season from Villa. It's just what's happened earlier in the season and Liverpool scoring 2 goals in stoppage time yesterday. The context for the game, bitterly disappointed, deeply frustrated. Summer transfer, you can bring out that. It's just familiar again. These feelings have been quite familiar this season. Yeah, we're still only 6 points behind. We haven't lost ground on Liverpool from... We've been 9 points behind them if they win their game in hand for about 5 or 6 game weekends now, and we're still there. And they will drop points. Make no bones about that. They will drop points. It's just, are we going to sign anyone? Are we going to get any more bodies in? And so the game itself on its own, I can't detach it from the wider context. So I'm torn. I'm really torn. I don't know. I think we played well. I thought Trossard was good. I thought Martinelli was better. Havertz got a goal.
No, I agree, and I think a lot of our games, the ones that we didn't lose, again, we haven't lost in the league since I can't remember when. It's been that long. Since before I think the international break in November or whatever it was. It may even been Newcastle away. We haven't lost, but you're right, and I think it's hard to detach it because the reason why these results are happening are a legacy of what's gone on before it. The season, not able, I said as I said at the beginning, I was pleased with the performance. It was a really hard one to pass, like you said. And actually, I went into the game a bit glum because of the Liverpool result. Oh God, just 4 more minutes. Could they have hold on? So it was a bit glum. And actually, I predicted. I think in the last pod, my heart went 2-1, but I think I predicted 2-2 because it just felt Villa are a good team. They know how to play us. They've got good runners. They seem to have a fit squad at the moment, and we are on our limits. And look, there are things we can definitely do better, and we did shoot ourselves in the foot. So we said the decision making in terms of the lineup and then the players on the pitch. So Partey, could be doing better. You can mitigate it away. But also, if you're angry and annoyed and want something different, I also understand that as well. And everyone's going to land someone that's on that spectrum. And I said at the beginning, I think we played really well. You're right. We were the dominant team. We were the better team. Villa were just playing on the transitions. The way they played, and I was watching it, they were very long bally, very hoofing it up front. They were targeting MLS with Rodgers, and he didn't get any change. Watkins was doing some great running, but Gabriel had him covered all the time. So they were trying to play off the first, second ball and transition on us, and I think that's what they do against us. And yeah, we go tonight. I was like you, 2-0. I celebrated that one really hard because I thought that's it. That's the game. And it was just a matter of control. But the thing is, we didn't have. But then even that 2-2, I thought we were going to score. I thought something was going to happen. I don't know. I felt no. We've got this. There's 20 minutes to go. I think we've got this. We will have a chance. I think we'll still win it. I was maybe thinking narrative rather than what's in front of me, but we just don't have any options off the bench. We just don't have anything. I was actually said to the person next to me, "How do we change this?" Because we're not bringing on a midfielder. We're not bringing on a defender. Sterling's your only option. And to be honest, would it have been better just to keep Martinelli on? Would a tiring Martinelli have been better than I don't know what Sterling is at the moment. And I don't want to. I don't like to shit on players because there may be a myriad of things going on in it like that. But I will shit on their decision making, and I will shit on some of their performance. But that's about it. That's about it. Other stuff, whatever. So I would say a half fit Martinelli getting knackered is better than a Sterling. But if he doesn't make that change and we draw, then you go, well, why didn't you make the change? So it's, I don't get angry.
Could we have been? I don't get angry. Could we have been a bit more progressive, like change formation, keep Martinelli on, bring Sterling on, but go 3 at the back, or do something different if it was just to guard against the game petering out? I mean, I don't think the game did peter out. I think it was get Rice further forwards.
He doesn't do that. Yeah, he doesn't do that. I think the only change you'd potentially make is I don't think he brought Jorginho on because they're a big physical unit. So Jorginho against big physical units, I don't know. You know. So I think that was the only one to make better bit of control. But we were in control. We were dominant. As in Villa in the second half, it was a bit like Tottenham. They had a 5-minute spell, goal, post, goal. That was it. Now it's enough to get in the game, but they didn't. I'm trying to think how else would you do anything different? I don't know. It's a hard one. I think it comes down to we're just a bit low on confidence. We're running on fumes. Then a lot of people around me, "Come on, why are you running this way? Why are you running that way?" But you're looking at a team that played 3 games in 6 days. One of them was 120 minutes on penalties, and it's practically the same team, bar 1 or 2 players changing here and there. Yeah, fatigue is going to come in, and that's why you're getting these indifferent performances. You're a bit up and down, so you can get yourself up for the derby. Then the energy saps out, and as much you want to get up, it's just sometimes not in your legs. And if so it's. But I thought they're not robots. That's what I'm trying to say. So these things will happen when you can't change it up.
But our performance for 60 minutes was excellent. I mean, I don't know what minutes did Villa score their goals?
So what they got? So it was we went 2-0 up in the 56th. Actually, this was the moment that everything changed for me, or everything happened. Do you remember there was that breakaway that Martinelli ran upfield, and he could have passed it over to Trossard or gone himself, but he did neither, and it ended up nothing. and then after that, 60th minute, Tielemans 2-1. Right. 61, Tielemans hits the post. We actually had a chance on 66. Martinelli volleyed wide from a Gabriel
It's a
cross.
good opportunity that was as well.
And then 69 was Watkins 2-2. So between 60 and 69, actually between 60 and 69, that's where we should have got control.
Yeah, and so for 60 minutes we were playing a really good game. The energy was high. I thought we started really well, like we did against Spurs. No clear-cut chances. We weren't like kind of thinking, "Oh, we'll rue these missed chances." Those missed chances did come later in the game, but I mean, you can't ignore the sense of frustration. I guess that's for lots of reasons.
Being 2-0 up. But again, 60 minutes, and then you're letting a goal. You're trying to find that second wind. I think only one or two. Rice, I think he had wind of the whole game. He was running around so much, but trying to find that second wind, and you get a bit of the stuffing knocked out of you, and so on. So it's hard. And again, if you've got nothing to change from the bench, and you know that as a player, and it's all in you, so just all compounds. It all compounds, and it's not about making excuses. It's just like trying to find a rational reason for why these happen. But we shouldn't be letting 2-goal leads at home slip. And I think we haven't done anything like that at home since I think it's back in Brighton. Versus Crystal Palace back in 2019. So it's and we've won each of the last 46 times beforehand when we've done that. So I believe so. It's football. These things happen, but we still had plenty of time to make do, but we didn't have anything to change it. And I mean, before I get on to sort of looking bigger picture, any particular players that stood out? Any performances that you liked?
Well, the kid's only 18 and he got a lot of praise for his performance against Spurs, but Morgan Rogers is a very, very good player, and he's he's very physical. He's got a huge physical presence as well, but Myers Lewis Skelly gave him nothing and got inside his head as well. Morgan Rogers was like was getting quite I don't know, hostile towards him.
Frustrated. How can this little kid get the better of me?
And he started. I noticed he moved more in field second half after when it come to 2-2. So he was being brave on the ball. He was demanding the ball. He wasn't hiding or shirking. Not saying any player was. I don't believe that. But so he was very good. I say, please, Havertz. Look, I will never criticise Havertz's effort. I think his effort's great, and I think he'd be a fantastic squad player. But he's not a number 9. But he got his goal.
He's not your first choice number 9.
No, absolutely.
He's a good alternative number 9. Again, secondary option, stuff like that. But he is not a Champions League, Premiership winning number 9. Yeah,
you're not going to win the league with Havertz as your number 1, your first choice number 9. Yeah. But he got his goal, and that was good. I thought Trossard had one of his better games. Martinelli. I prefer Martinelli on the right. Like you, I wouldn't have taken him off, but like you, Arteta a bit damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. At that point, you've got to try something, I guess. Rice's performances recently have been more akin to Rice of last season. Mm-hmm. Look, two soft goals you concede. I'm loath to blame Partey. I mean, in both cases, a specialist right back would never have given Digne that much space and wouldn't have let Watkins ghost over his shoulder. Now that's not Partey is an experienced player, but still.
Yeah, and that's maybe where fatigue does come into play, and things like you're just catching your breath. We saw him even against Spurs, like he looked like he was running through quicksand half the time. So that's a bit where, again, he's playing a lot of time, he's a lot of minutes and stuff like that. That's maybe where fatigue comes into play. And sometimes your brain, your brain says one thing and your body just doesn't react. So I know I need to get out there and again, it's just that I think it's a physical thing. I don't think it's a mentality thing. I don't think it's anything else. I think it's just a fatigue thing, which can impact you.
Or it's because it's not his specialist position, and that fraction of a second delay in working out where you need to be is enough for an opposition to take advantage at this level.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Spurs have got a second.
But it's 90. Yeah, but there's 4 minutes of extra time. There's 4 minutes added time.
Okay, they're on in the 92nd minute now.
I think there'll be, if it's 92nd minute. So yeah, I'm following it here. So so yeah. As for MLS, my God, that is, we found a player. I don't care where he plays on that left hand side. He's a baller. He can play left back. He can play number 8. I'm sure he can play left wing if he had to.
Can he play right back?
Centre forward.
No, but we need a right back.
No. Yeah, can he? I'm sure he can. I'm sure he can. I'm sure he can. I think he can. And it's just his attitude and his. And this is, I really love this that you mentioned, I think on the last pod, but I'm not crediting you guys for the comment. It's calling it out from the commentary that when they said he's, for an 18-year-old playing out of position, new to the Premier League, big moments, it's not that he hasn't had a bad game. He's not had a bad moment.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
It's was it Richarlison scored? Without actually getting aggro with someone. So it's a cross come in, far post, and oh my God, against his old club. So anyway, on to bigger and better things. So we are. So, imagine there's a 18-year-old Dutch left back who's doing these performances like that. You're 20, 30 million, and we shouting about it, you get him in, and we've got him from our academy. He's ours, locking down to a contract. He can play anywhere on that left-hand side. I think he can do whatever he wants. It's fantastic. And you're right, he had Rodgers' number. Roger then had to go and either give him grief, go and find somewhere else, and he had the same for Kulusevski the other night. I must say, he's very heart and mouthy, as in every time you think, and it's going to happen, so we just better get used to it. But the way he just sort of shields the ball, gets round and breaks free, incredible. The strength. He doesn't look like strong, but he just is. I think it's like having a dog. When a dog doesn't want to go anywhere, and you're pulling on the lead, and they somehow grip into the ground, and they are not for moving. It's like him. He is not for moving for love nor money. He just locks in, and you just cannot shift him. And I think he's incredible. And another big performance again. I think big Gabriel at the back. Watkins was making some very clever runs as they were trying to transition or try and play long. And Watkins was very, very clever yesterday. A thorn in his side, but he snuffed out the danger. Apart from that one time, but it wasn't his man. Then he snuffed him out, and Watkins didn't get any change of big. And there was again, like Tottenham statistics were lower because Gabriel blocked any shots that were getting anywhere near Arsenal's goal, let alone them having shots. And he did the same yesterday. He was fantastic, and he's been a solid rock at the back. So I think that you're right. And Havertz, I said to his off the ball work yesterday. He works so hard. He will not stop running. He will work so hard. But he's just and he's really pleased for him for the goal. Holistically, big picture, we do need something else. So then I've got a couple of questions for you in terms of the bigger picture. What does this mean for our season? And I got a couple of points here. Is it a case of just not being our season? Is there anything can we do about it? And I put our season as are we Schrodinger's football team? Because we're neither in contention nor out of contention at the moment. So which one are we? We always seem to be, in or out. I don't know which one we are. And would you rather be put out your misery, or keep the tiny fraction of hopium?
What's life without hope?
Oh no, I'm fully with you on that one. 3-2, it's game over.
Yeah, I think that my biggest frustration with this season is that when City capitulate, as they have done, it's not us taking advantage of it. And I think that kind of casts a shadow over everything else I feel. I don't think we can win the league from this position. I think if we were to pull a rabbit out of the transfer hat and pick up a Nico Williams or a Sesko, bring forward our summer plans to now, then that the impetus that could instill might be enough to kind of oversee an uptick. Listen, if it was Man City, ahead and we were chasing them, no chance. Because it's Liverpool, I think there's always chance. They're an emotional side, and I think they're capable of, dropping points, not winning games. I think yesterday does feel quite pivotal. On 90 minutes and in the Liverpool-Brentford game, Arsenal were potentially within a home win of going 1 point behind them or 2 points behind them if they got the draw. And that was game on. So can we really go from proper game on to completely out of it in 90 minutes of football when we didn't actually lose the game? No, I don't think so. 16 games left. Look, listen, I wouldn't be putting a large amount of money on us to win the league from this position, even though the odds would probably
any money on it.
The odds would be pretty tempting, though. I'd say no, and I definitely want to be in it. I'd like to be in it more than we are. No, I don't think it's looking particularly good right now. But it's not over yet. Not over yet.
No, I agree. We're just in that halfway. We're sort of yo-yoing and stuff. For me, I share exactly the same frustrations. Again, I'm one for rationalising, contextualising, understand. It still doesn't stop you from being frustrated. I had to be this season that everything fucking falls to shit for us. And this comes to my point is that I feel like we're making it easy for Liverpool, or Liverpool are having it easy. I think a lot of people have said, you take Salah out of their team, you take Van Dijk out of their team, they're not the same bloody team, and they will not be the same team. So everything is coming at roses for them, and it's fine, and that's why they're playing well. They're able to play well. They're able to bring on Nunez, scored 2 against Brentford in the last couple of minutes, and that's fine, and that's just the way football goes, and they've earned this. So from their perspective, when they have a season where they get 95 points and still don't win the league or whatever it is, so I'm not going to begrudge them their time. I would just like it to be more of a contest. I think if we put them under pressure a bit, I think they could crack, they could crumble a bit. But when we're not putting them under pressure, we're not able to put them under pressure. And again, we all know why. And look, this time last season, I think we're in a similar position, 5 or 6 points behind Liverpool. But we can all see it's that projection. We can just see this team, we're already running on fumes, and we are going to have these ups and downs. And I think I didn't mention it earlier, it's a bit like Odegaard's form. It's very up and down, up and down. So some minutes we will be good and we will win and we will all rest of it. And sometimes we just won't have enough. And I think that's just how it's going to go for the rest of the season, unless we do something to change it. I think we're going to be fortunate. Okay, the one blessing of being knocked out of the FA Cup is that we'll have a break. Yes. We're able to go away, refresh. Whether we'll get players back or not, but at least it'll be something just to change the momentum. But in terms of, we desperately need reinforcements. Do you actually think anything's going to happen? And also, is it too late? Because you get someone in now, it takes them 2, 3, 4 weeks to acclimatise and all the rest of it. So then you're up into like end of February, beginning of March, and then you got March, April, May. Okay, there's still a long time, and hey, we could be looking at Champions League. But yeah, do you think anything's going to happen, and have we left it too late?
Well, I think we needed to get someone in at the start of January. January was such a packed month in terms of games that we could be out of everything.
Just one stat on that. I think we played 9 games this January. Yeah. Do you know how many played last year?
We had a winter break, didn't we?
Well, we played 3.
3, okay.
That's a massive difference. I believe that is, I'm hoping, this is why I write notes. I'm hoping I'm not pulling that one out my arse. But there's a massive differential between this. You're right. We need an Eric. Sorry, carry on anyway, that you were saying.
Yeah, because by the end of the month, we could be out of everything. I mean, not the Champions League. We'll be in the Champions League. I just hope it's the top 8, so we have 2 fewer games. But we're definitely in the middle section, regardless what happens in our final 2 games, I would imagine. Do I think we'll get... So I don't think that we have to. And I think if we don't, I'd be curious to see how Arteta deals with that, because he's been very, very public saying, no, he made the point yesterday, Liverpool can bring on players to change the game. We cannot. Simple as that. And I know Ben White's back in training, so, I mean, he's quite a valuable it gives Timber a rest, but allows us to cover at centre back as well if he's back fit. But nobody's looking for a defensive player. We don't need a defensive player, much as we're a bit crippled at the back as well, especially in the light of Saliba's injury, potential injury. I don't know how serious it will be, but we have to. I mean, we can't get a loan player from the Premier League unless we do something with Sterling and Neto's existing loan. So we're kind of curtailed at that point.
Yeah. Why can't Chelsea recall Sterling like they did Chalobah? Come on, you want him. Neto's not pulling up any roses. So, whatever the phrase is, you need another average winger.
He's not. You just know that Neto will go back to Bournemouth and Raya will get injured in the next game.
Yes.
No, Neto.
Oh no! Neto. Yeah. Yes. No, exactly. Yeah. Just we buy him. Let's buy another keeper. Go on. 20 million.
So, but if we picked up somebody, it's quite arrogant of an Arsenal fan to say what I'm saying, but if we picked up someone like Wissa at Brentford, we've been linked with, or Mbeumo at Brentford, or Semenyo at Bournemouth would be the one. But we're assuming that A, he'd want to come, B, Bournemouth are even going to entertain anything like serious interest from us. It's not it's easy for me to say that, but so then you're looking. So at least a Premier League player wouldn't have that adjustment period. Then do you bring forward? There's little murmurings of Sesko because they're out of the Champions League. They've signed a replacement already. I think we know there's a gentleman's agreement between Sesko and his club that if a serious offer is made, Arsenal have intimated they'd rather do a loan with an option in the summer. But
lowballing again.
Yeah, no, it's the thing. And this is the thing. If you want the player, go for the player. Look at Man City. They've picked this guy Marmoush. They've signed really high quality player. Even Marlon, the guy that Villa bought, 18 million quid. They paid for him from Dortmund. He's an ex-product of our academy. He's gone on record saying he'd love to come back. And I don't know, but for 18 million quid, he's got to be better option than Sterling off the bench.
I don't know what position he plays.
He plays across the front three.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, he's perfect. He's in the right position.
He was more of a midfielder, but thinking back to the Euros. Transfers aren't easy. It's not like going, and this isn't criticism of you. It's not like going to the shops. Right, we'll have him and we'll pay whatever. We are a bit risk averse. I think we not lowball, but we want to drive a bargain. But we're not in a position. We are going there. Everyone knows our position, and we have to appreciate we're going to have to play top. If we want to do something, we will have to pay top dollar above the odds. Do something. So. But buying, selling players is not easy because you're right. Does the player want to come? Will he fit? Are they available and stuff like that? But I think at the end of the day, if you're willing to pay a certain amount, you can get the player. Semenyo would jump at the chance to come to Arsenal, and that's not arrogant. That is, you're going from Bournemouth to Arsenal. Something like that. Again, similar with Sesko. His problem was that he wasn't able to get playing time, or he didn't think he would. Well, he would get playing time.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, I can understand the difficulties. And I think with City, I never complain about us not buying someone because City do, because they can throw money at the problem because they can, and it won't even attack the bottom line at all, and it's not an issue. So I think Eintracht Frankfurt weren't willing to sell until it got to the point where they were willing to sell. So we unfortunately we can't operate in that world. We cannot scupper. We can pay over the odds, but we can't scupper all our plans just for now. And they may say, look, we'll take the hit on this year, and I'll ask you this question in a second on that, and we won't change stuff. So yes, we can play a bit over the odds, but we can't pay so over the odds that it impacts. You maybe imagine it has to be 20 million or 30 million over the odds. That's maybe one other player that we might have bought. So can we really do that? And I'm not putting this on Arteta. I think if we don't do something, then that's the board that's the execs being negligent. That's the execs having a certain mentality over the managers and the club. Now, this is a question a theory I posited the other day, was that in American sports, like American football, basketball, getting to the playoffs is considered success because there's only one ever trophy to win. I think basketball introduced something else, but only one trophy to win. So hard. Especially in NFL, there's the salary cap, so it's a lot more even. So actually, and I've talked to American friends that said, no, it's considered. You get into the playoffs, oh great, it's great. Only the select few then go and win the league. So maybe the American execs are thinking, well, getting top 4 year in year out, qualifying for Champions League, that's success. And his point was, and also these are money men. The money you need to spend to go from second to first or third to second or whatever, you don't get that payback. You don't eat because the money the winnings you get or the money you make from it. How much money more do Arsenal make being Premier League winners versus coming second? I think it's nominal. So really, how much do they want it? And that's what it comes down to. How much do they want it? Not Arteta, not the fans. It's the people that hold the purse.
Well, they've demonstrated a bit of ambition recently. Their other franchises have all been successful and have had a fair amount of dollar poured into them. I know, paying over the odds in January, you said might scupper the summer. We shouldn't do it at the risk of scuppering our summer business. And I get that. But I did this on the last pod, I don't know. I said the following: 6 days to go till the window closes, and hopefully we'll sign the striker we clearly desperately need. Now, I said that on a little TikTok video on the 25th of January 2022. 2022, that's nearly 3 years ago. Right? So
we're still looking for the right one.
Well, exactly. So what plans are we scuppering? Because we seem to have Sesko as our plan A last season and no pivot. And look, look, cold hard facts. We scored more goals than the Invincibles. We've top scored in 2024, last season rather. Arteta could quite understandably have looked at that and said, you know what? If it takes us 12 months to get Sesko, he's the player I want. He's the player we need. I can look at my squad and my team and think, do you know what? There's enough goals in that team to see us okay. He's been proved wrong. Subsequently. But even last season, there were 5 games last season where we failed to score. And that's the difference.
My counter to that was it's not how many you score, it's when you score them.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's Villa, West Ham, Villa twice, West Ham, I think Fulham, Bayern Munich,
City was
and City.
0-0.
We got nils, and I think that's the difference. That's why we didn't get higher than we should, and that was the gap that we needed to plug. And we even knew that because he said after the Bayern Munich game, we need more firepower.
Yes, absolutely. And that hasn't happened. And I did also say in a previous pod, I don't care how much we pay on Isak. Get him now because
he's not
we'll
coming.
win the league. No, he's not.
He's
I know.
He's never going to come because Newcastle hate us, and we aren't going to spend 150 million, on him. It's just that it happened. Yeah, and I think yes, they do spend. I think they spend enough to keep us.
How much was Calafiori?
30.
50?
No.
50?
I think it was high 30s, maybe.
And
I think
Marino?
Same again, high 30s, maybe. Roughly. No one went over 50.
Can I ask you what they've contributed to the season?
True.
In terms of bang for your buck, and
I think with Calafiori, you're buying for the future as well.
He can't stay fit.
No, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean that's been our sort of Achilles heel for the season, to pardon the pun.
But he had a history of it as well.
I don't know if he had a history of being continuous.
He busted his knee.
He had that one thing. I think these are different injuries. He's only 22. He's coming to a new league. He's got a very dynamic, and I think this is a question we raised a while back. He's got a very dynamic way of playing. He's adjusting to a new style. I actually said, does Arteta's demands of our fullbacks lead to injuries? Because they are, it's not old school up and down, not one direction, but one dimensional, up, down, whatever, defending, Winterburn, Dixon, and sorry, kids, look them up. We can have it. Me and Holly can chat about them all day, but so, the work that they're having to do. So then they're, the movements they're having to make and the stress that puts on the body, which is very different to your traditional back. Maybe there's something in that, and he's adjusting to this league, and injuries are unfortunate, I think. And as for Marino, he comes in, busts his shoulder in his first training session, so his adaptation period moved back 3-4 months, because he also came off the Euros where he got to the final. I think his coach or sporting director described him as one of the best central midfielders in Spain. Now, there's a bit of hyperbole there, but I think there is a player in there. I think maybe he's one of these ones that he needs a bit of time to adapt. I think he will be really good for us next season. How many times have we had a chance to have him really get into the team and have that unit? One of the challenges has been our back four. How many times has it stayed the same? Our midfield. That's just. I know we want to rotate, but when your best midfield is needed for the best games, and we just haven't had that. So I think I think you're right. I think he has underperformed. I think we're not getting as much what we want from him, but also that's a case of we want Eze and we got Marino, and they're very different players, and Arteta wants something different. So it's a culmination of all those things. But you're right. We haven't got our ROI on those players yet.
It's just the focus.
Yeah,
we all. 3 years ago, I said publicly we desperately need a striker.
Yeah. Oh, I think people have been saying it for years. Everybody's been saying it.
And we still haven't got that striker.
Yeah.
I mean, something's gone wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
If we're still in the same place,
I think it comes down to we're strikers. You have to pay over the odds, and there's no guarantees. With midfielders, with defenders, it's a safe bet. Now, we're a risk-averse club. We're also very careful in what we do. It has to fit. We're a bit Goldilocks. It has to fit perfectly. Everything has to work perfectly, and I think we need to. Right, okay. We need to take a punt. We need to just fuck it. Will it work? Will it work? I don't know. But we've got to try something, and it's an expensive gamble. We're talking stupid money. If we want that striker, there's 70, 80 million. And and that's where the gambles, where we're a bit more afraid to take them. And you're right. So certain statistics will provide comfort, but it depends how you can make a statistic, how you want it to look to prove any point you want to. So yes, we've scored more goals than X. We've scored the most goals in a calendar year. We've done this, that, and the other. But when you really scratch beneath the surface, it's a challenge. So I think we can all see it. I think we all desperately need it. What will happen? Who knows?
Well, can I just say that same January in 2022, we decided that Isak wasn't worth his buyout clause.
I think he'd only scored 6 goals that season. I think, yeah. I mean, but that's fine. That's where you take the punt. That's where you take the punt, and who knows how he would have turned out. He was potentially injury prone as well, which wasn't always a good thing for us. So, it's. I think that's a bit more hindsighty.
I don't know.
He was still expensive. It was still 50, 60 million. He was still.
I always wanted Isak because he was the most akin to Henry. That. Yeah. And that's his style, even. Yeah,
but Henry missed the load, didn't he? So.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. He's clinical, wasn't
he? Private joke off pod chat, that one. But yeah, no, I think we all did like his profile. Newcastle had the funds to do it. We didn't. Yeah, I'd be interested to know why. Decisions are made for various reasons, and it's interesting to think whether Edu left because the grass is greener in terms of he's getting a bigger job, bigger payday, or rest of it, or because maybe behind the scenes everything isn't as rosy as he wanted. So, I don't know. Lots of questions that we have no idea what the answers are.
What we got? 12, 13, 14. Is it 2 weeks to go till the slamming shut of this window?
Slam shut.
What's our first game? What's our first game after the window shuts?
City.
There you
on
go.
the 2nd of February. There we go. All right, here we go. Our new signing. We'll go. Does it? Our front two of Gyökeres and Sesko will come on and we'll win.
And Williams off the bench. Don't forget Williams off the bench.
I'm not actually that sold on Williams. I'd rather like something like Barcola or something like that. Someone. Yeah, I don't know. I think Williams is too expensive, and I think he's a bit of a flash in the pan. But there we go. Maybe I'm wrong. Right. I think we've done that. Look, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's the best I can come up with. Sorry,
that sounded
listeners.
quite desperate, pleading almost.
I think I said on
okay.
the pod after the Man United one it'll be all right in the end. If it's not all right, then it's not the end. So there we go. So there we go. So let's just see. Said we're neither in nor out. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Hopefully the board backs Arteta. We get that striker. At least let's not drop out of second. Let's at least give it a good shot in the Champions League. Let's give it our best shot. Let's not leave ourselves wondering again.
Hello, listeners. This is Tabs here. Holly and I noticed that after the recording, we actually forgot to talk about the biggest incident to a certain point in the game, and that was the disallowed goal, the Kai Havertz handball, not handball. We'd in fact had a massive chat beforehand about it, and I think we'd tricked ourselves into thinking we'd actually talked about it during the pod, and anyway, we forgot to conclude it, and I thought it was a bit remiss if we didn't mention it in the pod, so I'm just recording this separate section to discuss it. In essence, my feeling was that it's inconclusive. So was it clear and obvious that it was handball? And so my contention is that they spent 67 seconds while looking at it. Did they really look at it properly? Or was it a case of that they thought it was handball, so that's what they saw? Whereas if they were looking for not handball, they might have seen something different. Now, Holly tells me there's a view from behind the goal that definitively declares it as a handball, but I've seen loads of views. I've looked at it loads of times, and it's hard to determine whether it was or wasn't a handball. Look, I'm not going to... You do your head in if you continue thinking about it and stressing about it. It wasn't given. I think it was an easy decision for VAR to make, to not give the goal. But if we're going on the rules of clear and obvious, you cannot say for 100% certainty that it was clear and obvious that it was a handball. I think it's a bit of the trick of the eye. The distances are uncertain. You don't know whether it actually touches a hand or it just if it's in the foreground, background, whatever. So my issue is more whether VAR properly checked and whether it was clear and obvious, and for me it wasn't. A lot of people think that it was obvious, mostly neutrals. So yeah, that's what it is. It was a decent shot. Havertz did his best to get out of the way. I think it hit his midriff and it looked like it hit his hand, but I don't think it did hit his hand. But there we go, and there's not a lot we can do about it. It would have made a massive difference. The crowd would have been really happy. I, for one, wasn't celebrating because I didn't see the referee properly give it, and I think he was questioning it straight away. So whilst everyone around me was bouncing around, I wasn't 100% certain, and you could just see, and then you just think, this one's going to be too close to call. So it's unfortunate. It's very much sums up again aspects of a season. These things go for you, they don't go for you, and there you go. We ended 2-2. We didn't win it 3-2. It is what it is, and we have to move on. So, but yeah, I just wanted to thought I'd add that because it'd be very bizarre to talk about the Villa game without mentioning that point. There we go. So, thanks for that, and now on to the Zagreb preview.
So that leads us to Zagreb on Wednesday. An important game. I think we win this, and I think we're 95% guaranteed to qualify in the top 8. I think it will go a long way to securing that spot. So, we're third in that league, so we're in a pretty strong position. So, what are you looking forward to? Not looking forward to as far as that game's concerned?
I'm looking forward to it. The Champions League, bizarrely, has been a bit of a refreshing and welcome break from the Premier League, where every single game has been a must-win.
It's a piece
and
of piss, the Champions
tension.
League.
Yeah, it seems so far. So that's what I'm looking forward to, a break from the Premier League pressures. What am I not looking forward to is trying to predict what bloody team he'll put out. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. I'm looking forward to, almost with the handbrake off kind of performance. But again, that's tempered almost immediately by, well, who's he going to play?
Yeah.
Who's available? Who's fit? Who needs a rest?
Well, they all do.
Exactly.
I think they all do. As I said, I think we win, we qualify. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe some goals. We'll come on to Zagreb's form in a minute. But yeah, it's just something different. Not looking forward to. Are we going to get more injuries? It's going to be interesting. Also, the atmosphere is going to be interesting because I think it's our now 7th Champions League game. This is like X amount of games in January. The crowd's going to be interesting. I think there'll be lots of seats available in the TX. I think they'll be very expectant. Because this is just Zagreb. But again, what sort of team we'll put out? So it's got a feeling of like the early rounds of the League Cup. It's not going to be special Champions League night for sure. So not really looking forward to sort of how that all pans out. And in terms of the lineup, who's picking the team, Arteta or the physio?
Well, I don't know. Kind of hope it's the physio.
Yeah, I mean, you usually...
You might do something different.
You usually, on your pod, predict your starting 11, so go for it.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of options. It just depends on fitness. I mean, is it the team I want Arteta to pick or the team I think Arteta will pick? Well, I've written down Partey, Timber, Gabriel, and I didn't know... I thought Calafiori was going to be fit enough for the bench against... Villa, but he clearly wasn't.
Okay.
So I've put down Zinchenko primarily because I want to give Lewis Skelly a rest, and it's home against Zagreb, and surely Zinchenko's okay for that. So I'd go with Zinchenko. So Partey, Timber, Gabriel, Zinchenko, and then in the middle, Rice, Marino, Ødegaard, Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard. I think we need to win the game.
Yeah. Yeah,
so we've got to go for it.
Yeah.
I don't want Partey at right back. I don't want him at right back. I think he'll play him at right back. I mean, Arteta said after the game yesterday, we should never ever concede that second goal the way we conceded it. And that was Partey. That was his. Yeah,
maybe his way of doing it is coaching it out of him. So who knows? But like you're saying, it's Zagreb. Now, in terms of Zagreb, they're currently 24th. In the league, so that's the bottom position. They're on 8 points with Eindhoven, the mighty City, and 1 point behind Celtic and Real Madrid, and 1 point above PSG and Stuttgart. So they're in with a chance. So it's not like they're out of it. So they've won 2, drawn 2, lost 2. Their goal difference is -5, so, but they're in with a chance. So they may have to go with it. But the thing is, and this was interesting when doing my research, the last game they played was on December the 22nd. So obviously they have their winter shutdown because of you can't be playing in Croatia in the temperatures or the conditions that they have. So they haven't played for almost a month. So they'll be fresh but rusty. In terms of the Champions League, so they've drawn 0-0 at home to Celtic, lost 3-0 at home to Dortmund, but then they beat Bratislava and Salzburg 4-1 and 2-0 respectively. Drew 2-2 with Monaco at home, which is respectable, but then got absolutely spanked by Bayern Munich 9-2. But they qualified by beating Karabag home and away 2-0, 3-0. Okay, so in different form. Lost when they meant to lose, beat the teams below them, lost against the teams above them, and then drew, with the teams in and around them. So, but then in the Croatian league, in the research that I've done, they're not even top. So it's the only you got. I haven't even heard of the team in top. So apologies to any Croatian listeners. But you got Hajduk, they're third behind Hajduk Split and Rijeka. They've only won 2 games since November. They haven't played since December. I mean,
we're winning, is what you're saying.
If we don't, if Partey can't play right back against this lot, I don't know this lot. That's very condescending against the Croatian champions. I'm assuming. Then he can never play right back again. So I've got a feeling Jorginho might play. I think we've got to rest as many players as we possibly can without too much disruption. So. Yeah, I would even like to give Timber a rest. I don't know. I think the likes of Jorginho will come in. I think Sterling will start. I could even see Trossard playing centre forward and Sterling out left. I think maybe Rice get benched for Jorginho. MLS, I think he's an 18-year-old. Remember how much energy you had as an 18-year-old compared to...
Yeah, but Nwaneri got a muscle injury as well.
But I think Nwaneri is more fragile. I think this is interesting. This is why Nwaneri has been managed so much, because I think he's got the technical skill. He hasn't got the physicality for the Premiership yet, and that's why we were managing his minutes really carefully. Whereas MLS in play, he's a brick shit house. As much as he doesn't look like one, I think there's the difference there. So I understand that reluctance there. I think he's just young, dumb, and the rest. He's got what 30. Well, how many years on us and all the rest of it? 18. He wants to be out there. He'll be playing. His grandma's in the crowd. He'll be wanting to do her proud. So that I'm not too worried about him. I'd be more worried about someone like Gabriel. I'd like him to have a rest. Or he might do what it does: win the game early and then get everyone off. But we'll see. So, what's your prediction?
Well, I did predict us for a 2-1 win against Villa.
Is this what you'd predict every game? 2-1.
I've predicted 3-1 this time.
Oh, you think we're letting a goal in?
I always think we'll let a goal in. It's rare that I'll predict us to win to 0. So 3-1.
3-1. It's weird. We are one of the best defences around, but we're always subject to letting in goals. It's a real juxtaposition. I can't get my head around. I can't see us letting a goal. I think we'll dominate unless it's Variant. The only reason we're letting in a goal because Variant's, and he's not a centre forward for them. It's just the shit happens.
I was just going to ask you who plays for them.
Yeah. No, Variant's their centre forward. He's on 9 already this season. No, so I can only just see. I'm thinking 3-0 Sterling hat trick. There we go. You heard it here first, gents.
Mate, if that comes off and you haven't put a fiver on that, you will regret that for the rest of your life.
The last bet on I put with Arsenal was when Rob Holding came into the team after Saliba got injured against Sporting Lisbon, and we played Palace.
Man City.
No, we played Palace, and I said, Rob Holding's going to score. And he didn't score. We won easy, but he didn't score, and I haven't put a bet on them since. So there we go. So look, it's nice to see that we're ending on a fun note, on a happy note, on a joyful note. Because
long may it last.
Exactly. If you got to laugh. If you don't laugh, you're crying. And it's football. I think David Seegers. I think we both interviewed him, and he said it's the most important of unimportant things. And I think that's a beautiful way to talk about football. We love it. We get invested in it. We spend a lot of time, money, and effort into it. So we're going to be passionate. And I think that's great. And that people do what they want to do. People support how they want to support. That's not for anyone to say. I just want just people to enjoy it and find some joy and peace with it, no matter what happens. And I think we're very fortunate to be Arsenal fans. It's not going so great at the moment. I think maybe we've got a few. And my son said to me the other day, "Yeah, but you've seen us win the league. You've seen us win this." And I said, "Oh yeah, fair enough. So me and you may have a bit more calmness about us because we have seen that, but it will come. It will come. I'm there
and
for sure.
We could be supporting that lot down the road.
Oh
so.
God, yeah. I mean, there's so many worse things.
You said it's not going all that well for us in second place with the best team we've had in a few years and real hopes of Champions League and league title pushes and so on. So, we'll take that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, mate. So, anyway, thank you for joining me today, Holly. It's been a pleasure. I've loved chatting to you. Tell listeners where they can find you after listening to us.
Well, I've had to write this down because I'm Mr. Antisocial. If you get it on the socials, it's at North Bank Pod on all the regular social media outlets at North Bank Pod, and we've actually got a website, the northbankafc.com. So, and we put, I don't know, there's no real rhyme nor reason to it. We generally put pods out post. Well, previews and reviews of the games, but they're coming thick and fast at the moment. So we're having to merge podcasts and so on, and talk less about certain games and more about other games, as is our want.
Yeah, totally hear you. So, go and have a listen once you listen to us, of course. Look, you can follow The Grove on Threads and Blue Sky, mainly at The Grove AFC. And we will be back after our post-Zagreb drubbing with the Sterling hat-trick. We'll be glorifying and it's going to be the perfect hat-trick. Left foot, right foot, and
oh my word.
And his
behave yourself.
And his arse. And we'll be back for that. And then pre-Wolves, which, again, another tricky away fixture coming on. So, again, leaves me to say thank you, Holly. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you.
And until the next time, come on, you Gunners.